Hello everyone and welcome back to another Marvel Champions video. Today quite a few cards from the Black Widow deck were leaked and they're all available to take a look at up on the Hall of Heroes website. I'm going to leave a link in the description where you can check them out. Definitely a very cool source of information for Marvel Champions, like card reveals are up there all the time, so go ahead and check them out. But first up here we have Natasha Romanoff, Alter Ego side. Hand size is 6, 9 hit points. Mission Prep is an ability. As a response, after you play a preparation card, draw one card. That's limited once per phase. She is also in Shield and a Spy. So anything that requires either Shield or Spies will be usable in this deck. So those are her two kind of like subtypes for Shield and Spy. And then has Preparation, which is an ability that a lot of her cards, she's kind of in alter ego mode, is preparing stuff, kind of like behind the scenes, that kind of stuff. So then after that, we jump into the flip side of that, which is Black Widow. So 2 thwart, 2 attack, 2 defense. On this side, she is an Avenger and a Spy, so stuff that requires Avenger characters will work with her. And then she has the Widowmaker response. So, Widowmaker response: after you trigger the ability of a preparation card you control, deal 1 damage to an enemy. So, basically, as long as you're triggering those preparations, you are going to be doing additional damage. Good thwart, attack, and defense. So, twos across the board, which is pretty good. She drops down to 1 for her hand size, so a hand size of 5 when she is in Black Widow form. Next up, we have the Winter Soldier. 4 resource cost. Generates a wild resource if you discard him. He's also an Avenger and a Spy. 2 thwart, 2 attack, with 1 incidental damage happening whenever you use him to do either of those. And he has a point reduction, so reduce the cost to play Winter Soldier by 1 for each preparation card you control. So he's going to cost 4, but if you have a couple preparations out, you can get him out for like 2. And then, again, 2 thwart, 2 attack, 4 hit points with 1 point of incidental damage once you use him to either do a thwart or an attack. So that's the Winter Soldier. A lot of people are kind of complaining about the artwork, and the artwork, yeah, he definitely looks more like a zombie in this. But that is the Winter Soldier. Next up, we have Covert Ops. This is a 3-cost event, generates a mental resource if you discard it. It's a thwarting ability, so as an action, remove 4 threat from a scheme and then confuse the villain. So you remove quite a few threat and then also confuse them, so the next time they scheme, they just discard the confusion card and don't actually scheme. So that's Covert Ops. We have another version, a closer up version of Covert Ops. So same card there. Next up, we have Dance of Death, 3 cost. It generates a energy resource when you discard it. It's an attack. So hero action, so you got to be in Black Widow mode to do it. Make the following 3 attacks in order. Deal 1 damage to an enemy, deal 2 damage to an enemy, and deal 3 damage to an enemy. So quite a bit of damage. It doesn't say it has to be different enemies. So if you don't have any minions engaged with you, it looks like you're going to be doing 6 damage to the main villain, possibly. I can see this comboing really well off of cards, like if you run this in, I think it's Justice, with like the interrogation room. So, deal 1 damage to an enemy, let's say you defeat that enemy, you then get to exhaust the interrogation room to remove threat. But 3 cost, generates, looks like it does a total of 6 damage, and it looks like you can hit up to 3 different enemies with this, or it looks like you can combine them into 1 big attack on 1 enemy, because it doesn't state that it has to be a different enemy. So that is Dance of Death, pretty good card. We're going to move into the next one, which is Safehouse 29. So it's an alter ego action. It's a location, and it's also a shield base, basically. Alter ego action, so you had to be in Natasha Romanoff mode to do it. Exhaust it, and choose a preparation card in your discard pile. Add that card to your hand. So it looks like you're going to be able to get your preparations back. For 1, resources is pretty good, and then it generates physical resources if you were to discard it. Next up, we have what's this? Attack Acrobatics is what it's called. It's an upgrade. 1 resource generates physical resources when you discard it. It's an attack, a preparation, and a skill. So Hero Interrupt. When a boost card is turned face up, discard Attack Acrobatics. Cancel the boost icons on the card. deal 1 damage to the villain for each boost icon canceled. So this is really cool. So it's going to cost 1 resource. It's a preparation, so there's cards that will trigger when you play preparations. It's also a skill, but I like that you get to do it after the boost card is turned face up. So let's say you get a boost card that has 3 boost symbols on it, which would be adding 3 to like the damage done from the enemy. You can then what is this? Discard this, cancel the boost icons, and then deal that much damage. So if it's a 3 boost card, you discard this, cancel those symbols, and then deal 3 damage, which is pretty good. So that is Attack Acrobatics. We're going to move into our next card. Next up, we have Black Widow's Gauntlet, which is a 1-cost upgrade, generates a physical resource when you discard it. You exhaust it to generate a wild resource for a preparation card. So it looks like you basically exhaust it, you get a resource, and you have to use that to play a preparation. So that's the Gauntlet. Next up, we have the Grappling Hook, 2-cost upgrade, generates a mental resource when you discard it. It's a preparation and attack. As a hero interrupt, when you reveal a treachery, discard Grappling Hook, cancel the effects of the treachery, and discard it. So, pretty good card here. It looks like she's going to have a lot of ways to kind of just cancel stuff. So, you're going to be basically canceling the effects of the treachery card, and then, let's say it's the assault, where you get attacked again, for example. You can basically discard this to negate the attack, the extra attack on that card. So that is the Grappling Hook. Next card up, we have closer up version of Grappling Hook, same card there. We have the Synth Suit, 3-cost upgrade. It's armor and tech. I can't tell what kind of resource it generates. We might have another version later on. But Black Widow gets +1 defense, and as a hero response, after you trigger the ability of a preparation you control, exhaust it to ready Black Widow. So let's say she's attacked, and then let's say you trigger a preparation, you can then ready Black Widow and have her thwart or attack again, or something like that. So there is the Synth Suit. Next up, we have Widow's Bite. So 1-cost upgrade generates, I think it's energy resource. It's a preparation and attack. As a hero response, attack. After a minion enters play, discard Widow's Bite to deal 2 damage to the minion and stun the minion. So it's a good way to basically have it enter, you stun it, you do damage. You may just defeat it right away, depending on how much health it has. But it takes 2 damage and then gets stunned, so the next time it would attack, it just gets rid of the stun card. It doesn't actually get to attack. So there is the Widow's Bite. Next up, we have Agent Coulson. Looks like he is a Justice ally. 3 resources, generates a mental resource when you discard him. 2 thwart, 1 attack, each with 1 incidental damage. He is also shield and a spy as well, and has a response. So after he enters, search your deck and discard pile for a preparation card and put it into your hand. So if you have a preparation that you really like that you've used a couple times, you can play Coulson and get that card back. Pretty good. And that has 3 hit points as well, which is pretty nice. So next up, after that, we have Counterintelligence. It's a 2-cost Justice upgrade, generates a energy resource. It's a preparation and a skill, max 1 per player. And as an interrupt, when any amount of threat would be placed on the main scheme, discard Counterintelligence and prevent 3 of that threat. So basically, you got to have this prepared, and then once a bunch of threats going to get put on there, you just have to discard this and prevent up to 3 of that threat. So it looks like it can prevent less, but if they're going to be putting 3 threat on in one turn, you can just discard Counterintelligence and prevent all of it. So it's pretty good. So that is Counterintelligence. Next card up is Quake, which is an ally. So 2 cost, generates a energy resource, 1 thwart, 1 attack with 1 incidental damage each. 2 hit points, Avenger and Shield. And as a response, after a minion schemes, exhaust Quake to deal 2 damage to that minion. So if you're in alter ego mode, the minions will actually not attack, they'll scheme. So basically, this will kind of like, when that minion schemes, it can do 2 damage to the minion, which is pretty good. So there's Quake. Next up, we have Spycraft. 1-cost upgrade, generates a physical resource. And you play only if you control a spy character. So this deck is completely full of spy characters. Like a lot of the characters are spies anyway. And this could be used in other decks as well. Probably going to be better in a deck that, of course, runs spies, of course. But play only if you control spy. And when you reveal an encounter card, discard Spycraft, cancel the effects of that card, and discard it. Then reveal another card from the encounter deck. So if there's a encounter card you get that you just can't deal with, like let's say it's a card that would cause a villain to just win, especially if it's one where you're playing solo and you can only take a few more damage. If it's like Assault, which does another the villain gets another attack phase, you can discard this and then basically cancel the effects of the encounter card and get another encounter card, and hopefully you get an encounter card that won't be so devastating. So that is Spycraft. Next card up is Stealth Strike. 3 resources, generates a mental resource. It's a justice card. As an attack, hero action, attack, deal 4 damage to an enemy, and then if the enemy is defeated by the attack, remove 2 threat from a scheme. So that's pretty good. Works on the main villain as well, but also if they have a minion in play, you can basically defeat the minion and then also remove some threat from the scheme as well. So that's pretty good. Next up, we have Leadership, 2-cost upgrade, Rapid Response. Preparation, it's a preparation and a tactic, max 1 per player. Generates mental resources. Hero response, after an ally you control is defeated, discard Rapid Response, put that ally into play from your discard pile, and deal 1 damage to it. So, really good. I like that this is in Leadership, so it's in the same color as Maria Hill, which is probably my favorite ally in the game right now. Played her in an Iron Man deck where she's able to come out several times per game. But let's say you get her out, so after an ally's control is defeated, you basically discard Rapid Response, you can bring Maria Hill back, put it into play from your discard pile, so it enters play, so you get to draw a card, and then it comes in with 1 damage, and then she can attack or thwart. Then you discard her again if she gets defeated, and then if you have somebody like Make the Call, you can bring her back. So I can definitely see this going really well in my Iron Man deck. So I've definitely a Leadership Iron Man deck is what I've been running mostly lately, and it's done pretty well in most games. So next up we have, this is Protection, so 2-cost upgrade, Defensive Stance, generates energy resources. It's a preparation and a tactic, max 1 per player. Hero Interrupt, when you take any amount of damage, discard Defensive Stance, prevent 3 of that damage. So pretty good way to basically just block damage from coming in. So that is Defensive Stance. Next up in Aggression, we have Counterattack, 1-cost upgrade, generates physical resources, max 1 per player. Hero Response attack, after you take damage from an enemy attack, discard Counterattack, and deal an equal amount of damage to that enemy. So if you take a bunch of damage, you can basically just discard this to do that much damage to one of the enemies, which is pretty good. Next up, we have Target Acquired. This is just a basic gray. So 1-cost upgrade generates physical resources, max 1 per player. Hero Response, after a boost card is turned face up, discard Target Acquired, and cancel that card's boost ability. So if the card has a boosted ability that says like the enemy gets to do something, you basically just discard this and cancel that ability of the card when it was being used as a boost. And next up, we have Espionage. It's a preparation and a skill. Play only if you control a spy. Generates physical resources. As an interrupt, when the surge keyword on an encounter card would be resolved, discard Espionage and draw 2 cards. So it looks like it doesn't cancel the surge. The surge is usually like if this condition isn't met, the card gains surge, where you play another card from the encounter deck generally. But basically, it says when something surges, when the surge keyword of an encounter card would be resolved, you basically discard this to get 2 cards, which is pretty good. We have the Quid Carrier, 3 resources to support, basic gray, generates mental resources, play only if your identity card has the Avenger trait, and resource, exhaust Quid Carrier to generate a resource. So it looks like kind of similar to the Helicarrier. However, that Helicarrier reduces the cost of the next card somebody plays. This just gives you a resource. So looks like it doesn't just reduce it by 1. If you have both this and the the Helicarrier in play, you can use the Helicarrier to get the cost down by 1. Use this to get another resource, and then basically drop it by 2 because you're generating a resource off of this. So that's the Quid Carrier. And next up we have Burn Notice. This is Black Widow's obligation. So give this to the Natasha Romanoff player. You may flip to Alter Ego mode. So you got to go from Black Widow to Natasha Romanoff, or you may do that. And then choose exhaust Natasha Romanoff and remove this card from the game. Or discard the preparation card you control with the highest cost. If you cannot, this card gains surge, and then discard this obligation. And then we're going to move some of her villains. So her Nemesis card is Taskmaster. So Black Widow Nemesis, Hydra, and then he's an elite. 0 scheme, 0 attack. However, the symbol next to him says Taskmaster gets +1 scheme and +1 attack for each upgrade you control. And then if it's revealed as a boost card, as a boost for this activation, the villain gets +1 scheme and 1 attack for each upgrade you control. So the more stuff you have in Black Widow, the tougher Taskmaster is going to be. and he's going to have more scheme and more attack depending on how many upgrades you have. And then has 4 hit points. Next up, we have Killer for Hire. This is his scheme. So 3 boost symbol, side scheme. When revealed, place 1 additional threat per player here. Has an acceleration acceleration icon, so the main scheme will get more threat on it more quickly. And it comes in with 3 threat to start. Hydra Mercenary, that's a Black Widow Nemesis. So it looks like this guy's back in the game as well. So 0 scheme, 1 attack, 3 hit points, 1 boost symbol, and has guard. So when the minions engage with you, you cannot attack the villain. And we have Deadly Shot, which is the Taskmaster Treachery. So when revealed in Alter Ego mode, so if you're in Natasha Romanoff mode, discard an upgrade you control and place 1 threat on the main scheme. And if it's revealed on the Black Widow form, discard an upgrade you control and take 1 damage. So it's either going to do a threat on the scheme or damage depending on what mode you're in. And we're back to Natasha Romanoff. So that does it for the Black Widow deck. This was supposed to be coming out April 3rd. I think that's getting pushed back with all the coronavirus stuff going around. So this will be out hopefully sometime maybe in May. We'll see. I have it pre-ordered. So we'll definitely, once it shows up, I'll definitely maybe do a review of it, let you know what I think of the deck after I get it played a few times. I like that she has, again, 2 attack. Let's actually just go right back into Black Widow. So 2 thwart, 2 attack, 2 defense. I think she could be a pretty good hero. Not sure how she's going to play solo with 9 hit points and no real way to increase them unless you play cards that increase her health. So I don't know if she'll be good solo, but she's definitely kind of like definitely a good character that kind of like, hey, do we need to get threat off the scheme? Cool. I'll use her thwarting ability. Do we need to do damage? We'll use her for damaging. So it looks like she is very flexible in either removing threat or doing damage. Thor, on the other hand, been playing Thor a little bit lately. Haven't won game with Thor solo just because, for example, Thor is pretty much all damage most of the time. There are a few cards that remove threat, but for the most part, he's a huge damage dealer. Looks like Black Widow's going to be a little bit more in the middle and can kind of adapt to the situation a little bit better than Thor can. So again, this deck should be out soon. Hopefully, I'll let you know once I get a hold of it, and then I'll probably do a review of that deck. Again, that's going to do it for this video. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Take care.